It's time to get spooky! Enjoy a collection of our best Halloween segments from the past 2 years, including haunted destinations, problematic ghosts, and our favorite haunted mansion trivia. We've got a show that's so funny, it's scary. Light your jack-o'-lantern and watch out for hitchhiking ghosts. It's time to hit the trail with the Gold Key Adventurers Society.
It's going great. Are you guys ready to get spooky this week?
Yes. Ooh.
I'm always ready to get spooky.
Perfect. I've got a question for you guys before we start into the news. This might fall under our unpopular opinions. A quick take. What's your favorite trick-or-treat candy that everybody else hates? When you're out trick-or-treating and you're sorting through at the end of the night and everybody's throwing the trash candy in the pile, what's the stuff that you're going to grab for yourself?
I actually like candy corn quite a bit.
I'm with you. I don't get the hate for candy corn.
I'm not disgusted by candy corn. I like it.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's a black licorice flavored candy. Blackjack, maybe?
Yes.
Yep.
Ooh, yeah.
Blackjack.
Yes, I like black licorice. Yeah.
I don't like anything that tastes like anise.
There's a very careful pronunciation.
I'm always the one who picks out all the black jelly beans at Easter and keeps them for myself.
You're the one keeping it going, I guess.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I will buy the bag of all black jelly beans. That's me.
I always went with the Necco wafers, which are, I haven't seen those in over decades, but it's not a
those
flavor.
Are garbage.
Yeah, but I love that texture. Like I like the texture of Tums and things like that. I like chalky things.
Chalk. You like to eat chalk.
I do. Yeah. So I've just graduated to real chalk at this point.
Maybe I'll just give out Tums this year.
That's a good taste. I always liked those. I always call them poverty candy. They're the they're the peanut butter taffy with little bits of peanuts in the middle that come in the orange and the black wrappers.
I like
that everybody's
those.
like, oh, I don't want this junk. Give it to me. I love those.
The black
I love those
ones
too.
are a little bit licoricey.
Are they?
No,
Yes.
No, I don't think so.
Stop it.
I
You're
think they're just
fired.
peanut butter.
I think you just like the flavor of the black dye. I think that's probably it.
No, the candy itself wasn't black. The wrapper was black.
Oh, so the wrapper is licorice flavor.
Yeah, the black wrapper, exactly.
Okay, I've got a story to share with you guys. Story. A haunted destination actually got a submission from one of our listeners. Melissa wanted to tell us about the Waverly Hills Sanatorium, which is located in Louisville, Kentucky. It's an early 20th century Gothic revival TB hospital that opened in 1926. It's huge. It's gigantic. It could house nearly 500 patients plus all the doctors and staff. So big that it had its own zip code at the time. And it's literally like, it's a city up on a hill because tuberculosis was just, so once you checked in, you never checked out. And that included the doctors and the staff. And it's known as one of the most haunted places on earth. So now I'm from their website. It says the number of deaths that occurred at the hospital in a year could sometimes reach as high as 150, and they believe that around 6,000 people died there. So there's a lot of paranormal, spooky activity.
So it's not a functioning hospital anymore?
No, it shut down.
Well, I know that we don't have really a tuberculosis problem, but it could be used for something else. I don't know.
Well, we will soon enough with the anti-vaxxer movement.
Exactly. Yeah.
Shut down in 1961. And so many people were dying there that they didn't want the patients to see the bodies. So they dug a tunnel underground that they called the Death Tunnel, 545 feet long. And they used a rail car system to transport the bodies, just kind of send them away. So obviously the place is full of supernatural activity.
So it's just been sitting empty since you said 60 something?
1961. Yes.
There's nothing scarier than an old abandoned hospital.
Yeah, right.
And if it's like an old,
with a death
if it's an
tunnel.
old tuberculosis hospital, is it just a lot of ghost coughing a lot? Just, like, sorry, that was really insensitive to tuberculosis.
No, apparently there's a lot of kids, ghosts of children that are seen running around playing with balls. There's a ghostly hearse delivering coffins to the back of the facility. Doppelgangers, shadow people. It sounds pretty awful. The death tunnel is full of ghosts, and people see a cook wandering around the kitchen and cafeteria and can smell the food.
Ugh. So is this a place is it closed to visitors, or is it a place you can pay to go visit? What's the story
You can
here?
visit this place. So it's open for tours during the summer months. And also, if you're a member of a paranormal investigation group, you can actually stay the night to do your ghost hunting there. And then during the fall, they operate a haunted house out of a commercial haunted house attraction out of there to help pay for the restoration work. But so you get to all the jump scares in the creepy TB hospital.
We have a similar place in Birmingham that's great. It's called Sloths Furnaces. And it's one of the most haunted places in the Southeast. Every place says they're the most haunted.
They're the most haunted, yeah.
Yeah, it was a working smelt furnace or whatever where they made steel. And apparently, like during this one guy's shift, which I think was maybe 2 months long, 47 workers lost their lives because he would just literally work them to death. They had people that were living on the company property, and he was just notorious awful. And then he mysteriously fell from the highest point at the furnace into one of the smelters, and apparently was just melted instantly. But the mystery was that this guy never went up there ever on his own. So apparently everybody just got fed up with him and threw him in there. But, so his nickname was Slag. He was James Slag Wormwood. And so now
what a name.
It's the same kind of thing. They do paranormal. People come there all year long and investigate stuff, and people have felt pushed from behind and heard voices saying, "Get back to work." And
don't push me in the smelter.
But now they operate stop melting me. I hate it. But now they operate a amazing haunted house attraction in there. I haven't been in a couple of years because the last time I went, I loved the haunted house part and the scares, and it was great. But at the end, they built a maze, and I got separated from the group I was with, and I'm such a moron. I was in there for like an hour and 10 minutes. I was debating how I could which would be easier, to chew my way through the plywood walls or to climb over and out of it somehow. But I could not. It was a pitch black maze, and and the walls are painted black. So you're just feeling your way along trying to find the maze. But I am directionally challenged or something. I could not get out of this thing. And I was about to cry. It was just terrible. And so every year I'm like, I want to go back, but if I get stuck in that maze, I definitely don't want to be there with my son because I don't want him to see me cry. But when I got out, everybody in the group we had been with had left except for my one friend Robbie, who was like, "Man, what did you do in there?" I'm like, "You got away from me." I wanted to just hang on to his shirt the whole way to lead me through, but I got lost.
Sure. Do they have anybody that will help you get out of there or are you just stuck in there till the end of the night when they throw the lights on?
And you know what I noticed was different? Like most haunted houses, there's not a person telling you like, go this way or whatever. You're just kind of on your own. But at Halloween Horror Nights, they did have, that kind of took me out of the thing a little bit. They had employees that were in there like pointing, go this way.
This is the way
so
to
you're
get
doing
out.
all this great, scary stuff, and then here's this 18-year-old go, "Hey, mister, go down this way." Kind of took me out a little bit. But like at this place, you're on your own in there other than the scare actors and whatever. But I guess they didn't know the giant crying man in there.
They walk up to you.
I was about to send up a flare or something.
Maybe they thought that you were one of the scare actors.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, just this lumbering lost idiot.
If you don't work here, you're going to have to leave.
Flag. We need you to put your pants on and go home, sir.
I assume at the end of the night they would have helped you out. Or were you just?
No, I would have just slept in there until the end of the Halloween season.
I have been to Salem, Massachusetts on Halloween, and it was a really great time, actually. One of the things I love most about Salem is that they've really embraced their past and turned it into a whole industry, really. I mean, it's a place in the United States with just a horrifying history. 20 people were killed during the Salem witch trials for... I mean, obviously they weren't actual
they were witches.
Witches. That's what they were accused of. And the city of Salem now it's really embraced the whole, this is we're the witch city, right? The logo for the city has a witch's hat. Their police cars have a witch riding a broom. It's a super fun place really all year long, but the whole Halloween season, the whole month of September and October, they really get into it. And Halloween night is sort of it's like the biggest, it's like the biggest Halloween party for adults anywhere. I mean, the whole city is the people watching alone in Salem on Halloween is a really good time because you have everything from people just, grown-ups having a Halloween party with their friends in regular Halloween costumes to just the weirdos really come out. And because it's
those are my people.
Yes, and they're fun to see. They have a Halloween a ball. It's called the Witches Ball that you can go to. But we just really kind of wandered around town, and you can find every kind of supernatural shop. If you want your aura read, or if you want a tarot card reading, or they have the haunted tours, candlelight tours of the haunted places in Salem. So you can go up to Gallows Hill, where everyone was hung after the Salem witch trials. The House of the Seven Gables is there, which is kind of a cool bit of history to go see. Salem is the birthplace of Nathaniel Hawthorne. So that's kind of there's a lot of cool history there, but just a fun place to hang out on Halloween, really. You have to fly into Boston if you want to get to Salem. And then they have trains that can take you out there because it's not really close to another point of entry. That was my favorite place to visit on Halloween.
I like how it sounds like there's a good mix of like if you want to get historical and real with the witches, or you can go campy on it, whatever your personal flavor is. And the whole
range in between, right? Yeah, it's there's a big Wiccan community that lives in Salem, so it's kind of ironic. The irony is really dripping in Salem. All of the people who were hung were not actual witches, but now the place is full of real witches.
Real witches.
Well, yeah, people who yes, yeah. I mean,
Jeff, you just alienated our entire Wiccan listeners.
There's going to be a pox on your house.
Yeah. Way to go.
Yeah. They celebrate Samhain there, and they have a whole gathering of the Salem. Yeah, yes, that's true. The Salem Witches Society on Halloween. They're doing their Wiccan rituals and whatnot. But I thought it was a fascinating place. Yeah. If you want to buy a spell,
do they have
can.
Eye of Newt on sale?
Yes,
but it's Newt
if it's his eyes, I'm all right with that. Sorry, you might want
powdered eye of yeah. The whole East Coast has a lot of cool haunted places and haunted attractions to visit. My son last year the year before, for his 8th grade trip, they did a whole East Coast trip, and one of the things that they did was a ghost tour of and now I'm drawing a blank. Gettysburg. Sorry. Mm-hmm. A ghost tour of Gettysburg.
What's
so
the
they
address
visited
there?
they visited They visited the battlefield after dark and went on a haunted tour. It sounded pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about everything in that part of the country is so old that just the weight of the years makes it really kind of spooky to be around.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
where our spookiest places are on the East Coast.
Yeah, being in Richmond, Virginia, I am surrounded by Confederate ghosts, basically. There are a lot of different ghost tours that you can do in Richmond. My favorite thing that sort of fits into that is we have a cemetery called Hollywood Cemetery, and it is an ancient sprawling cemetery that's basically in the middle of the city. And you can go into it. I mean, it's very popular for people going to take photographs and etchings. I mean, there's everything from, mausoleums and
etchings.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's people that go and just do like Confederate tombstone etchings
on the gravestones.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, and what's weird is there's a giant old house on the property that I guess for a while was like lived in by the caretaker. But at some point they turned it into apartments that they rented out. And I actually knew somebody that lived in one of them. And I've never felt like any sort of like ghost thing before in my life, but going to the bathroom in that house every single time, I felt like somebody was standing behind me. And so, yeah, I got to the point where I didn't want to go there anymore. And it was actually the first time I ever went there was right before going to a haunted house, like on Halloween. And I was not in the mood for that. So yeah, it was weird.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Are you normally in the mood for someone standing behind you while you go to the bathroom?
I'm usually in the mood for spooky things, but not for assistance in the bathroom, no.
Gotcha.
I can handle it myself.
Spooky in the wrong way.
Yeah.
I've never felt the presence of anyone behind me while I go to the bathroom or anything cool like that.
That's just Jess. You're never going to live that down, Jess. Ever.
Sometimes you get a hand on your shoulder when you're...
Guys, I'm still traumatized. I haven't peed since. Come on.
Oh, no. Yeah. He's been in renal failure for 25 years. Well, I've never been to one of these, but I keep reading about these sort of extreme scare places. Not so much always haunted, but they have some pretty extreme ones. There was one called Mckamey Manor that started in a guy's backyard in San Diego, and interestingly, it's now like a legit thing. That there's one in Nashville and one in Huntsville, Alabama, which is where I'm from, and I had not heard of this till I started researching for this show. But it's so extreme, you have to provide proof of sports physical, doctor's note, and background check stating that you're physically and mentally clear before you go into this. You also, get this, have to do a FaceTime or phone screening to prove you have medical insurance, sign a detailed 40-page waiver, and pass a drug test the day of your entrance. In other words, this is not something you can go and do on a whim. You need to plan and put a lot of thought and effort into this experience. But apparently it's so terrifying that they interview you to figure out what kinds of things scare you, and they interview your friends to find out what kinds of things scare you.
I've heard about this place.
I haven't seen what
and
the
they essentially
pricing is.
kidnap you and torture you.
Yeah, there's one in New York where they kidnap you and take you out to Red Hook and put you in a warehouse, and it's like an escape room / terrifying combo thing too.
And people pay for this experience.
People pay good money for this one, but apparently the guy that wrote the article I read about it said if they tell you they're not going to put you in a coffin, don't believe them. So apparently he was sealed up in a coffin and made to think he was being buried at some point. But I've heard of these places where they will waterboard you. And at one point, somebody was in a box full of tarantulas, which I think is, I don't know. I don't know if I believe that, because if it was me, I'd be squashing tarantulas, and that can't be good for business.
No, right?
I want no part of any of that. Give me a killer clown from outer space. But these extreme ones are popping up more and more. There's, we'll put a link on we can put a link on the page, but there's a top 5 most extreme haunted experiences in the U.S. So they've got them in Chicago, Fullerton, California, Pittsburgh, Huntsville, Alabama, of all weird things, the Blackout Haunted House in both San Francisco and New York. And
so you'll be
attending
the one in Huntsville and reporting back to us?
I'm just too scared. I don't know if I can do it.
Yeah.
This is not fun.
Mm-mm.
No.
Like, I like being scared, but I don't see
that.
It's just too much. I want to be scared and entertained. I don't want to be like legitimately scared of my phobias being like thrown in my face.
Right. Like I'm actually legitimately scared that they just buried me alive. No, that's not fun.
Real life is scary enough. I don't need like realistic scares.
Yeah, that's oof.
So those are starting to be all the rage, but I'm not sure. Would y'all do any of y'all?
No, I'm good.
I don't think so. Like, what is that movie that was out recently where they thought they had paid for a fun kidnapping experience? Game Night. Yes.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that movie, but
that was a great movie.
It seems like that is something that people pay for, that kind of scare experience. Like I want to have all my friends over and we're going to pay good money for a fake kidnapping or something like that. I know that's not really up my alley.
I would love to do a murder mystery kind of night.
Oh, absolutely.
Where we all are aware that it's fake.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to really think my friend was just murdered in front of me.
Exactly. No, thank you.
Yeah. Or have you heard of Camp Blood?
No.
It's a haunted attraction. It's in New York, and there's some other similar ones. I know there's one outside of Detroit similar, but it's like you go to a summer camp and you do summer camp activities, and then night falls and the summer camp is stalked by a psycho slasher killer.
I'm a big Jason fan.
And you have to work with your other campers to survive the night. Yeah, I know that the one in Michigan, it was like you could have different levels of how terrifying it was. Some of them, if you went into your tent, you were like safe and they had to leave you alone. Okay, but then you could have the extreme experience and they could like drag you screaming out of your tent. I
don't want that one. But, I need this. I need the safe zone.
The scariest part of all that to me sounds like just the camping itself. I'm really more of an indoor kid.
Yes.
Oh, the bugs.
You're going to have to sleep
Stand
outside.
By Me does not want to camp out.
No. You're going to have to dig a hole.
I don't want them actually like dragging me out of my tent. I want them to like chase me through the woods and then for me to like, okay, come on, let's take a picture. And then, we get back into it. But like, if I can't call times, like, no, that's not fun.
I don't know about Alcatraz, but that does lead me to the other story that I've got to share about a different haunted prison.
Haunted prison.
Yeah, I've got some experience here, and we've also got someone else that shared a story from here. So this is the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio, and all I can say when I see this place is, oh, Andy. Because it's where they used it for the exterior of Shawshank Prison in the movie Shawshank Redemption.
That is a great movie.
Yeah, I mean, odds are at any given moment it's playing on some TV station somewhere around the world.
Usually TBS.
Yes. Usually TBS. Yes. And they used some of the other rooms in the prison were used. The warden's office. You can see the set where the room that they used for Andy's office, and also they used one of the rooms there for Brooks's hotel room. And you can see on the rafter is carved in there, Brooks was here, and it's
cool.
So
it's not a working prison anymore. It's
not a working prison anymore. It was a working prison up into the 80s.
Okay.
And it's a huge prison. It's one of those old, it looks like a castle in its construction. If you've seen, obviously, Shawshank Redemption.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
you get
true.
an idea for what it looks like. It's huge. It's the largest freestanding cell block. It's 6 stories high, so there's just full of prisoners, and the solitary confinement area there was especially notorious as being just the most hellacious place. It was, they called it the hole, and people went in there and never came out, came out, like a guy set himself on fire down there just to get out of the hole.
What?
That's so what the story on their website says.
You're willing to set yourself on fire in order to get out. That's pretty bad.
Yeah. So I visited there in 2012 with my wife. It was while we were on our baby moon. We had kind of a weird baby moon.
You went to a creepy old prison.
I took her.
You're such a romantic.
I took her to this. Well, right after we visited the prison, I drove her
into
past
that kind of stuff,
Jeffrey Dahmer's childhood home, where he lived.
That's actually where you proposed, right?
Made his yes, that's right. And it's a creepy place because I didn't feel any ghostly activity there, but just kind of knowing what went on there, it was a brutal place, and the kind of people that were kept there, but also is right next to the new state reformatory is like right there.
They just built a new prison next door.
And there's certain places where you're not allowed to take pictures because there's windows and you can see the prison from the window. And so you're not allowed to take.
Okay, that was creepy.
Say hi, Alex.
Alex, you just scared all of us. We're talking about.
Why did you lock me in the room?
Hi, Alex.
Hi, Alex.
Did you have a good nap?
We're talking
yeah,
about,
that's you.
We're talking about creepy places, and then we all just hear a child's voice.
What do you want? No, that's my Mickey Mouse. Okay, can you say bye-bye? Okay, can you go downstairs while I finish up? Thank you.
Bye, Alex. Take the doctor with you.
So I got that feeling creepiness, but people also report a lot of paranormal activity there. Seeing shadow people, hearing voices, footsteps, and even in the prison chapel, there's reports of ghosts that kind of get a little grabby and will touch you. Yeah,
I do not like a grabby ghost.
The ghost of John Lasseter in there.
Overhugger.
I'm a bit of an overhugger.
It's terrifying. The prison is open for self-guided tours 7 days a week, and they also host overnight ghost hunts. And in the fall, they've got their own haunted house to help pay for the renovation.
That's one of my favorite parts of the Tower of Terror at Disneyland Paris. Is when you're in that creepy room in the queue, you can hear scary, creepy little voices of children saying "Mommy, I'm tired. Where are we?" It's so scary.
When's dinner? I don't want that. Pizza again. Sorry, this is. I'm bored.
That's a different kind of scary.
I don't want you, Mom. I can't pull my pants. If they do that, every parent in the ride just starts crying, and everybody else is like, "I don't get what the problem." I'm done. Come wipe me. No. Can you stay here next to me?
Scariest thing you can hear, especially when your kids are teenagers.
Or when you're dead asleep and Mom, I just threw up all over my bed.
Or Mom, I just threw up all over your bed.
Mom. That has happened.
And now we're on to throw up. That's a whole different podcast episode.
That'll
Different
be
sort
next
of
week's
horror.
episode.
We want people to come back.
What are your best places to throw up when you travel?
Favorite puke spots in Disney
I have
World.
a few of those.
Yes.
Quick, go.
I just go inside my own shirt.
You blame it on a small child and you go to a cast member and they give you a voucher for a new one.
That's what those popcorn
Yeah,
buckets are
yeah.
good for.
I've got a question for you guys before we get started. What was the best Halloween costume you ever had as a kid?
The one I had the most often was the hobo with the shoe polished beard and a knapsack on a stick because my mom forgot to do anything about Halloween until the night of. And hobos always have freckles too.
Yes.
That's great.
It's a requirement.
I think my favorite would have to be in middle school. My best friend was much, much taller than me. And she always liked to make fun of me for it. And she called me Sprout. And so we dressed up as the Jolly Green Giant and Sidekick Sprout. It was great. I think that was 7th, 8th grade, something like that.
Well, I grew up in the 80s, and so the trend in the 80s for store-bought costumes was basically a plastic shirt with a picture of who you were supposed to be on the shirt.
So strange.
Yeah, and for some reason, though, I really loved my He-Man version. And yeah, basically it was He-Man's sword, and I think I had a really bad Prince Valiant wig on, and then just a plastic shirt that said He-Man and had a picture of He-Man on it, so...
And then they have those plastic masks that cut into your face.
Yes, yeah. The ones that like cut your eyes.
And cut you.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a wonderful time to be alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to be anybody from Kiss, but it was always sold out, so I would be Peter Criss. I was Peter Criss 2 years because we couldn't get the better one. And then the mask would crack, and you had to get a new one each year.
Nobody wanted to be Peter Criss.
Peter Criss didn't even want to be Peter Criss.
Nope.
But Eric Singer does.
Oh, that's a good one.
Lost.
I want to be a cat man.
Sure is.
Said almost no one ever.
My mom was always really handy with a sewing machine. She was a seamstress. One year she made me a Rocketeer costume with like a full
nice.
jumpsuit and like made the helmet out of like metallic fabric and stuff.
Oh, cool.
It was pretty awesome. And then the next year she made what was Will Wheaton's name on Next Generation?
Wesley Crusher.
Wesley Crusher. Yeah, she made me.
Wesley.
I was him, and it was like perfect, spot on.
Was it the rainbow one? That he
Star
had, like,
Trek?
The rainbow stripe?
No, the red and no.
Oh, when he was like
the one-piece
black
jumpsuit.
when he was the ensign.
Did he give you a little bit of a camel toe like his did?
I mean, I was in I think the 5th grade, 4th grade, so I don't know that I was.
You weren't aware of that.
Gotcha.
I don't know if that things had filled out quite yet.
I see where you're going with this. Yeah.
Your managers.
Thanks, Jeff. Let's go to the news. Who wants to tell a story first?
So the last thing I wanted to share, because this is our Halloween week episode, was earlier on an earlier episode, we all talked about spooky places that we've visited. And the Travel Channel released an article titled The Creepiest Places in All 50 States. So I didn't want to go through all of these, but I wanted to share what they consider the creepiest place in each of our states and get your thoughts. The first one, actually, for Alabama, Jeff already brought this one up to us, the Sloths Furnaces, which as he shared with us, was open from 1882 all the way to 1971, and now seems to be haunted by Foreman James Slag Wormwood. So it looks like they agree with you on that one there, Jeff.
I kind of wish that was my nickname.
It can be.
Sure,
we can make that happen right now. We're retitling this podcast Slag in the Gang.
Yes, perfect.
That's our funk band name.
Just funk songs about foundries and
So, Jess, they say that the creepiest place in all of Virginia is the Peyton Randolph house in Williamsburg. Have you ever heard of this?
I have not, no.
It's supposed to be cursed by a slave named Eve, and the grounds, it said, are haunted by Civil War soldiers.
Wow. They got a lot of them.
Civil War ghosts.
Sounds fairly creepy.
I mean, that's not surprising for Williamsburg, but yeah.
Yeah. Right. Here's the one that made me go, okay. Dan and I both live in Michigan, and this list says that the creepiest place in Michigan is Mackinac Island.
What?
Right?
It's because there's no cars. Ooh, creepy.
It is if your name's Prez.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's scary how expensive it is to stay at the hotel there, but
true. That's true.
Is it supposed to be like a haunted hotel?
No,
I mean,
it's just
I
expensive.
had no idea, but it says that the Grand Hotel is known to be possessed by an evil entity with glowing red eyes.
It's Christopher Reeve from the past.
Possibly. Yeah. Also,
what was that movie?
Somewhere in time. Yeah.
That was that Grand Hotel.
It's a beautiful movie. Yeah. Also,
I remember that scene though.
Yeah.
In the movie where the demon comes out and drags him back in time.
I thought it was a reference to Superman.
No.
Well, also, and I was unaware of this, it was Mackinac Island was also the site of a witch hunt, and 7 women were executed, drowned in a place called the Drowning Pool, which you can still visit there, which I've been there dozens of times and never heard of this.
It's appropriately named.
Absolutely. So I guess I need to go back to Mackinac Island and do some kind of a creepy tour. Like,
I wouldn't.
I had no idea.
It sounds scary.
Well, that is where
It's the most picturesque, beautiful little place. It's not creepy at all. I don't get
demons.
it. Apparently.
The fudge demons.
That's my band name.
Yep. I was just going to say.
Slag and the fudge demons.
Oh.
We're on to something. TM.
That does sound creepy.
Somebody write that down and mail it to yourself so nobody else can steal it.
So we'll post a link to that article so that our listeners can check out what the creepiest place in their state has been as named by the Travel Channel, and let us know what you think.
Yeah, if you disagree, tell us what the real creepiest place in your state is.
My basement.
Well then,
it's a creepy basement.
If you're not spooked.
Moving on.
Have you ever seen a haunted house? You know the kind I mean. That old dark house that's usually at the end of a dimly lit street. The owners haven't been seen for years. No one really knows why. The windows are broken and boarded up, and the shutters hang loose on their hinges. The trees are grown wild. Their branches brush against the side of the weathering house, making strange noises in the night. There's a high vine-covered fence around the property. Is it there to keep somebody out, or to keep something inside? It's a house that people avoid walking past at night. Strange sounds come from within the walls, and strange lights have been seen both in the attic windows and in the cemetery to the side of the house. As we approach the porch of this house, one of the mysterious residents steps out of the shadows, raises a lantern, and speaks.
Welcome, foolish mortals, to my Haunted Mansion trivia quiz.
I'm so scared.
Thanks, Gert.
So before we started talking about the Haunted Mansion, I thought I would ask, there's a few super fans in the room, I think. Thought I would ask you a few trivia questions. These are probably too easy for you, but we're going to try it anyway. So my first question is, how many Haunted Mansion attractions are there in the world?
4?
Called Haunted Mansion?
Ah, Jeff, you got to the heart of the question. How many Haunted Mansion attractions are there in the world?
Orlando, Disneyland, and
3.
Asia.
4 if you count Mystic Manor.
3.
I'm not counting Mystic Manor.
I just had to throw
I'm
that
counting the 3. So of those 3, which 2 are virtually identical inside and out?
Disneyland and Disneyland Paris?
How could the inside look just like the outside?
No, it's Orlando and one of the Asian ones. That's not
Correct.
Mystic
Walt Disney
Manor.
World and Tokyo Disneyland
Yeah, Tokyo.
are exactly the same on the inside and out. The only difference is Tokyo has 2 different gargoyles that sit on either side of their entrance. So there are 2 more Haunted Mansion inspired attractions at Disney parks. What are they and what are they called?
Mystic Manor.
And
Mystic
Phantom
Manor. Correct. Correct. Mystic Manor is where?
Tokyo?
The
Hong
other
Kong?
Asian park.
Hong Kong, yes.
Yes, Hong Kong.
And Phantom Manor is
Paris.
Disneyland
DLP.
Paris. Correct. Where did the original idea for the Haunted Mansion come from?
Well, it was Harper Goff who came up with the idea with Walt, but it's based on the Winchester Mystery House in San Jose.
And according to Marty Sklar, he was asked in 1963 to write up a real estate signed copy inviting retired ghosts to take up new residence in Disneyland. And it turns out that on a visit to the United Kingdom, Walt had mentioned to several reporters that one of the reasons for his trips was that he was searching the old castles and country manor homes for ghosts, but only ghosts that had a passion to continue to practice their trade in a new environment built specifically for them at Disneyland. And then the story grew from there. But it's something that had been on the back burner for the Imagineers way back into the around 1955 or 56, I think, when they were just starting to talk about Disneyland.
Yeah, when they were originally planning to put the park across the street from the studios, they had come up with that idea.
Right.
And it was going to be a walkthrough.
So
yeah,
my last
I'd still
question
love to
is,
see that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. My last question is, which version is each of your favorites?
Mine is Walt Disney World's version, but that's just because it's the one I grew up on.
I've only ever seen Walt Disney World, so I guess I have to go with
You're
that one.
missing out. You didn't see Disneyland?
No, it was Disneyland was packed because we were there at Christmas time, so it was the overlay, and the kids were too spooked by it. So
I prefer the overlay at Disneyland to the regular
I like
one.
the overlay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My
I love the
favorite version
outside
is
and the
definitely
boarding part of Disneyland over Walt Disney World. There's not that weird bottleneck when you come out of the stretching room and all that. But I like the stair rooms and a couple of other things that they don't have at Disneyland at the Disney World version.
My
The Phantom
favorite is
Manor was
definitely
amazing.
Phantom Manor. Yeah, love that one. But we can talk more about that later.
Do you have other questions? Was that it?
That was my last question. And except for I toyed around with asking if you guys knew who the lead Imagineers were for each of the different haunted mansions.
I know for stateside ones. So Raleigh Crump and Yale Gacy, Mark Davis, Ex Atencio, and Claude Coates. Yeah.
Disneyland.
Yeah.
Yep. Very good.
And then,
Here.
go ahead.
Let me
You're cheating.
let me think
cheating.
about it real quick.
How about Disney World?
well, a lot of those elements they were building at the same time for both parks, so it's kind of hard to say who.
Claude Coates and Herb Ryman are the two most mentioned for Disney World.
Herb Ryman.
And then Tony
I love his
Baxter
auditorium.
oversaw all of Disneyland Paris, so he had a huge hand in that one. And Hong Kong was Joe Lanzicero.
I met Tony Baxter in person, and I can say he does have huge hands.
That's what I've always wondered.
He could crush my head like a walnut.
That's terrifying.
Why don't you share with us the backstory of the Haunted Mansion, the original, the Disneyland?
Well, it's kind of hard. There's so much that's been kind of added on by fans over the years that kind of gets adopted by various cast members at different levels over the years. But basically what happens is you approach this haunted house and you enter, and the first half of the attraction is you see signs of paranormal activity, but you never actually see the ghosts until you go into Madame Leota's seance room. And once she calls all of the ghosts out, that's when you finally see them, when you get into the ballroom where there's a birthday party going on and the famous dancing ghosts that are not holograms
Not at all. Not at all.
No.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, they're even cooler than holograms, but we can talk about that magic trick later. You go up into the attic where now you're confronted by this the Black Widow bride.
Murderous, axe-murdering bride.
Yes. At which point you are frightened and fall backwards out of the window to your death into the graveyard, where you join the rest of the ghosts in their frolics and fun in the cemetery. And then you leave and a ghost follows you home.
Was the Deadly Bride always the thing there? I don't remember that as a kid.
There's always been a bride, but she was not anything like Constance until pretty recently. She used to be silent. It was a really spooky effect when she had her heart would glow, pulse with the sound of her heartbeat for a while. Yeah. That's my favorite version of the bride. There are several changes to her, and then they decided that she needed a story up there.
So is that room actually stretching?
It depends on which one you're in.
No. I love how they go, no windows and no doors. But yeah, we all just came in a big giant door.
Suspension of disbelief.
I don't remember climbing in the window.
This attraction is one of my favorites at any Disney park. And I have to admit that until Dan was sort of reading out the kind of backstory of the Haunted Mansion, it never occurred to me that when the doom buggy turns and you start going backwards, that you are falling out a window and dying.
You're not the only one. I didn't realize that until just now, too.
Right?
I didn't realize it because I wasn't listening when Dan said that.
Well,
you can go about your way.
Backstory now, and now I'm never going to forget that, and I want to go ride it immediately.
Yeah, it's a cool concept.
I don't know if the dying part is like the fan cannon thing, but falling backwards out of it. The thing that I read at the beginning of our discussion is from an old record, the story and sounds from the Haunted Mansion. And the first side is this dramatized story of Ron Howard and some other people, it's starring Ron Howard and some girl. Yes, yes. And they happen upon the Haunted Mansion and they go through it, and it very loosely tells kind of the story of the Haunted Mansion, but also really has not much at all to do with it. And they specifically say at that point that they fall out of the window.
I love that.
Is this little kid Ron Howard? Opie era Ron Howard?
It's right after the end of Mayberry RFD. So
pre-Richie Cunningham, post-Opie.
Yep.
Awkward.
Yeah, he did a lot of voiceover for Disney, apparently.
I really dig that. I'm gonna think about that the next time we're on that attraction.
Yeah, I had never thought of it. It's so cool though. Yeah. It's right when you enter or exit the attic.
And it makes so much sense now that you think about it. It's like, oh, duh.
What do you think? This attraction is one that's big, like really a cult favorite among Disney fans. What do you think it is about the Haunted Mansion that captures so many people's attention, obsession?
Air conditioning.
I do love that about it. Yes.
It's charming. It's extremely charming.
Okay. Yeah.
It is. It's all older kind of tech that's still amazing. It's literal magic tricks.
Parlor
if
magic
you look
tricks.
at how they developed a lot of the stuff. I think the fact that the story is not super tightly spelled out for you. You're not watching a book report of a movie. You're walking through this storyline. So it gives you a lot of room to use your imagination.
I do like that about it. I mean, it kind of has become Disney IP now, but it's not, from a film or...
It's based on the amazing Eddie Murphy movie.
Trigger warning, Jess.
That ride is so popular, they actually made a really great movie about it.
And we're going to get it back to that movie one way or another.
Jess, you've got 30 seconds. Tell me how much you hated the movie.
All right. So I just have a couple points that I need to go over. I watched the 2003 or 4, I can't remember when it came out, Haunted Mansion movie starring Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy. The film.
That was our first mistake.
You know what's surprising is that it was released the exact same year as Pirates of the Caribbean. And if you look at both of them,
really? I guess I never
and
thought
they
of
look
that.
like they have about 10 years difference in technology. Like Haunted Mansion looks like it was made for $5.85. And, then you look at Pirates and you're like, oh, there's where all the money went. So I can't figure it out.
They spent it all on Pirates.
The movie
I had no idea that was the same year. And Country Bears,
I think,
wasn't that around the same time?
a little before, I think. I've seen that one 2 times, strangely enough, which shows you how much I hate the Haunted Mansion movie if I've seen Country Bears twice, and this one I actually didn't even finish.
Yeah.
So, like, it begins...
You don't even know how it ends?
I do. I made sure to look up the ending. I got to the point where they strap Madame Leota's crystal ball into a BMW in the seatbelt, and I literally said, bleep you, and I turned it off. I was like, that's it. I'm done.
Oh, no.
She rolls up to him like some sort of hamster ball. Like she's just rolling through the yard. And not to mention that she is played by Jennifer Tilly. Okay, so you've got Eleanor Audley, who's, got this sort of gravitas and meaning to her. And then you've got Jennifer Tilly, who's like, serpents and spiders, tail of a rat, calling us ferrets. And I'm just,
like
who
a drunk
casted
baby.
this? It makes no sense. And Eddie Murphy looks half asleep. He looks like he was more interested in Pluto Nash than this.
Way past his prime. He was...
Oh, yeah, no, you could tell he just had dollar signs going, but it was...
Yeah.
Like the counterpoint, you've got Wallace Shawn as the ghostly butler, though.
Yeah, he's like a side character. He's not even one of the main characters. And it starts off with some random kid who has nothing to do with the rest of the movie, like wandering up to the mansion, and he gets to the gate, and all of a sudden this ghostly voice goes, "Stay away," and blows him out. And like, I should have taken that as a sign right away and just turned it off. Like, that's the movie telling me what's about to happen. It was horrible. So don't watch it. That's all I have to say.
Dan, how did you feel about the movie?
Well, I watch it in the background when I'm working on other stuff, so I don't mind it. The singing bus in the graveyard weren't terrible.
No, they're not horrible, but why do they take them home with them at the end?
I forgot
they strap them on their car. Oh yeah, in the end they've got Leota in the back of the station wagon, like around boxes, and then they've got the bus. Like, I looked it up on YouTube. I looked up the ending on YouTube. No, I looked up the ending on YouTube.
Yourself, pal.
And I'll never do that again. That was
the harp. All right. Well, coming up next, then we're going back to some. We haven't visited the Atlas. We're going to visit the Atlas Obscura.
Have we not visited it because you can't say it?
Yeah, I'm a mushmouth today. Apparently, jeepers.
The Atlas Obscura.
Well, get ready because I get to use my excellent French pronunciation.
Oh yes.
Oui.
Soak it up. This is going to be good.
This is going to be really good, guys. So we're going to take a trip to the Atlas Obscura, an explorer's guide to the world's hidden wonders, and we're going to France, to a suburb of Paris, Maison-Alfort.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, sure.
Say that again.
Which one of us?
Heather?
Me or the one with the fancy ass French?
Yeah,
definitely.
There it
And we're
is.
going to visit the Musée Fragonard.
I love the Fraggles.
Fraggle Rock?
I love Fraggles.
Is it the Fragonard Museum?
The Fragonard.
Fragonard, yes.
Fragonard to you too. Don't talk to me like that.
All right, so nominally, according to the sign out front, this is a veterinary museum, but it's full of all kinds of horrific things, guys.
I've heard of this place.
Yeah, so you can see, for example, human fetuses preserved in dancing jigs. There's also a 10-legged sheep, and they've got everybody's favorite 2-headed calves, stuff like that, as well as models of
mythical creatures that they, I guess they were just guessing what they look like or something. But the highlight are a couple of flayed figures. That's where we get back to Donald Duck here. So we talked about once the bodies on display exhibit. Well, this is the 1700s version of that.
Ew. This is not going to be good.
No. So this guy was a professor at the first veterinary school in Lyon. And it was there that he began skinning and preserving animals and later human corpses.
What a hobby.
He intended them to be used as educational tools, but he also decided it would be fun to arrange them into theatrical poses.
Oh, come on.
As one does.
That one sounds delightful.
Don't play with your toys like that.
Yeah, the most famous one is the Horseman of the Apocalypse. It's a skinless corpse with dried, varnished muscles and glass eyes sitting on top of a similarly preserved horse in mid-gallop.
Dude.
Oh, I got one of those in my garage. I didn't know that was weird.
With its skin artistically peeled back in layers so you can see the veins and arteries and muscles.
Oh, I would like to see that.
Yeah, I
don't want to make it.
There's a link.
I don't want to be part of it, but
there's this other dude I've got this close-up picture. He's standing up. He's got this grimace going on, and his eyes are looking. He's giving some serious side eye, and he scares me a lot. And I'm going to dream about him probably. This was a mistake.
Remember the curator battle where they were showing off the creepiest thing in their museum, and there was the one that had the human skin pants? It sounds like it belongs in this place.
Yeah, the necro pants.
Necro pants.
Those are his pants. He's looking for them.
It sounds like it belongs in this place.
I just figured out what this other figure is. It's supposed to be the biblical Samson because he's holding the jawbone of a donkey.
Oh.
I thought that was Mike Pence.
Fascinating. Oh.
So
anyway. Wow.
Let's see, where's my notes? Oh, so he worked on his flayed figures for 6 years, and then the townsfolk started to get a little scared of him and decided that
I wonder
they were
why.
like, that's enough of that.
Yeah, because he was doing it in the front yard.
Yeah, the amazing thing to me though is that these figures didn't go on display until 1991. So for 250 years.
They were just in someone's basement?
Were they part of a private collection?
Oh.
Yeah. So who kept these sitting around for that long before they decided that the public needed to see them?
And that man is Guy Fieri. Where do you think the chicken guy pieces come from?
Taking this corpse to Flavor Town.
Ew.
I'm going to cover it in donkey sauce and peel the skin off.
Come sit around the fire and prepare yourself for a journey into a world of restless spirits, wandering ghouls, and subterranean terror. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society, I call this story a road trip on the highway to hell.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yay.
That sounds real intense. I don't know if it's going to live up to the...
I better rent a Winnebago.
Maybe we could start out. I think everybody's got the link. Let's take a look at this story that Heather shared with us about the 9 most Instagram haunted places in the U.S.
Oh, I could just see all the Instagram people doing their duck face poses in these haunted spots.
It takes a lot of the terror out of the situation, doesn't it?
They would have to.
Well, the one thing about this article is they don't really tell me why they're so scary.
Yeah, I just realized it just tells you what they are, but not anything about them.
I mean, I guess some of them, like Alcatraz.
Yeah, there's not even a link for to click on for what,
Well, there's one thing that this list does kind of point out. I guess we can go through them and at least say what they are.
I have been to the number 7, the St. Augustine Lighthouse in Florida, USA.
Yeah. Did a ghost?
That whole city is full of haunted stuff. It's the oldest, city in the U.S. And it's there's forts and all that stuff there. The whole thing feels kind of creepy, like Savannah.
Yeah. Yeah. So number 9 is the Oriental Theater in Chicago. Has anybody been to that one?
I have, and I'm not sure why it's.
Because
is it just a creepy old theater?
That may be it.
Because old theaters tend to be creepy, right? Because I don't know, lots of failed actors
jumped to their death from the
especially the Ford Theater.
Oh yeah, the ghost of Lincoln is so scary.
There's still chunks of him.
That one has the ghost of a. That one has the ghost of a. Oh my god, I can't remember the name of him now. Never mind. I'll take my answer off here.
I mean,
the
John Wilkes Booth.
An usher. Thank you, an usher.
like 5 through 9. I'm not sure I've ever even heard of. But then
you ever heard of the Winchester Mystery House?
No. What is
I've heard of that.
This one's great. We need to go there.
That room, and it's the Sarah Winchester. She kept building onto this house, trying to fool the ghosts that she's convinced live in there. So there's doors to nowhere.
Oh yes, okay, yeah, I have. That sounds cool. I would like to see that.
One of the inspirations for Haunted Mansion. One of them.
Her husband was the Winchester of the gun company, and so she thought that the spirits of everyone that had been killed by one of her husband's guns was haunting her.
Oh, that's a lot of people.
So she was trying to get them lost and trapped in places of the house where she wouldn't go.
The pictures of this place look really cool. I would love to see that.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
Someday. The Stanley Hotel, number 4. That's the inspiration for The Shining, and it is very creepy.
It is creepy.
And 2 different penitentiaries on the list.
And I can get that, especially if it's an abandoned penitentiary. That would be creepy. Alcatraz is creepy.
Yeah.
I went there as a little kid, and I wish I could remember it gooder. There's pictures of me there, but I don't recall it at all.
Abandoned penitentiaries and oldie times mental institutions are pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
That's my jam. Old-timey mental institution.
And that's the thing that this list kind of showed to me, or made me think about, was the fact that you look at haunted places around the world, and they've got all kinds of weird, like, gateway pits that lead to hell and creepy, weird, cool things. And pretty much all of the haunted places in America are either a penitentiary,
prison, or a mental institution,
or an old hotel.
Yeah.
We need to really work on the creativity of our ghosts.
I'd like a haunted water park.
Yeah. Yeah. And then number 1 is Salem, Massachusetts.
As a whole.
I guess that one makes sense.
Yeah, they got witches there and stuff.
Yeah,
that seems a bit on the nose. So, but that's cross-pollinating there. What are we doing? Witches that turn into ghosts, or like they ghosts that like converted to being witches after they were ghosts?
The ghosts of the witches that were burned.
Exactly, burned or drowned in the dunking chair.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm a monster fan. I need my monsters to fit into the right columns. You cannot cross. You can't have a witch that's also a ghost. That's some WB channel stuff that I'm not watching.
Dude, you got to get off of this monster binary thing. Okay?
Yes.
This is a spectrum.
Sorry, I want my cis monsters, please. Thank you.
I think we've got some of those.
I don't know. I've been to Salem. I thought it was really cool. I didn't find it particularly spooky.
A little more campy than spooky.
It was definitely, and I was there on Halloween, so it was just a giant Halloween party for adults.
Scooby-Doo and the gang have figured out that those ghosts weren't real anyway.
Yeah. Although the Wiccans do have a lot of fun there. So if you know any Wiccans, you might want to recommend it as a place they should visit on Samhain.
I do know some Wiccans.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, Samhain's coming up. If they need you to plan them a trip to Salem, Massachusetts, it's the place to be.
Good to know.
You need help getting to Salem, Massachusetts, so you can dance naked in the forest by moonlight.
Yes,
contact
exactly.
Contact Jeff Williams.
Key to the world travel.
Contact Jeff Williams.
Okay, well, I've got some other catacombs that are equally terrifying to me, and actually they're a little bit even more creepier, because in Paris it's pretty much just stacks of bones everywhere, right?
Yes.
And skulls.
And artfully arranged.
Intestines.
What's terrifying about the catacombs in Paris is the first thing that hits you is the smell. Because it smells like a really old church, like there's hints of incest, but then just sort of Incense. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Paging Dr. Phil.
Yeah. Incense with like an underlying
I'd be scared to go
decay.
in there.
Yeah. It's carry on.
Well, this one, these catacombs in Palermo, Sicily, are a little heavier on the decay. I think these are the Capuchin catacombs.
The catacombs for monkeys?
That's what I thought.
No, the Capuchin monks, which are what the monkeys are named after.
Are these incestuous monkeys?
Well, no comment. I don't know. They're monkeys. We can't judge them the same way we judge human beings. Okay, they don't adhere to our morality. Why am I talking about this? All right. So here's what they do in these catacombs here. They because of the dry climate, the corpses essentially are mummified.
Ew.
They leave them out on shelves for like 6 months or so that all the liquid bits can drip out.
Ew, gross.
And then what's left behind are these mummified bodies that they put their clothes back on them, and they hang them up on the walls, or sometimes stack them. But there's a whole bunch of these mummies that are just leaning up against the walls all over the catacombs, and they put them in rooms based on, they like split them up into categories. So there's one room that's all like clergy members. They have another area called the Chapel of the Virgins, which is full of girls whose families declared that they were virgins when they died, and they're displayed in their faded, tattered white dresses.
Good Lord, is this still currently happening?
No, the most recent was a 2-year-old baby girl who was embalmed in 1920 after dying of pneumonia.
Ugh. But you can still go see all of this?
Yeah, she's so well preserved that her corpse has been dubbed Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So it's nice. Most of the corpses, their mouths are hanging wide open because they're standing upright. So their facial ligaments have decomposed and gravity has pulled their mouths open. So it looks like they're in the middle of an eternal silent scream of agony. Yeah.
I like creepy stuff, but I think that might be a pass.
Yeah.
I can handle this. I've eaten at Golden Corral.
Yeah, that's what they serve there.
Same thing. People with their gaping maws and just decomposing.
That sounds about right, actually. The monastery is a 25-minute walk from Palermo's Central Railway Station, and you can still visit it, although I don't know if you can right now.
But you'll make it home in half the time because you'll be running away from it.
Well, speaking of claustrophobia, there's a haunted battleship here in Alabama that I went to and didn't get any of the paranormal stuff. But my son, this is the USS Alabama. It's parked in Mobile Bay, and apparently this was used in World War II and retired shortly after that. No one was ever killed on this battleship by enemy fire, but apparently 7 people were killed from friendly fire.
Oh,
how you get killed from friendly fire inside a battleship, I'm not sure. But
snoring in your sleep, I think, is how you.
Yeah, but apparently, when they church groups and scout groups and things like that, I guess any group could rent out the battleship and you can spend the night in there. My son did that as part of a scout.
That's a popular thing with the scouts sleeping on some kind of.
Yeah, they always go to some kind of thing. But this one, there's tons of reports of doors shutting behind people. And these are big battleship, like heavy, serious metal doors that will just close like on people. And during tours, even when people are just taking the normal day tour, doors close. And there's, I'm sure it's maybe not haunted, but it's the whole thing is, I went there as a kid and it was so claustrophobic. I just went back up to the top because everything was tiny little stairwells and hallways, and I'm a tall guy, so I don't know
how people live on like a submarine or battleship like that.
And then if you snore, you get killed, and then you haunt the place.
You haunt the place, yeah.
Yeah, when I was a kid, when I was in Scouts, we went to the Yorktown, which is the aircraft carrier. It was in the Battle of Midway in World War II, and I don't know if that one's haunted, but it had that same very creepy feeling. There's something about it because it's so institutional. So it feels kind of like an old hospital or something, but then it's so huge and most of it's empty and unused except for the areas that they take you on tours and stuff.
Yeah,
but it's not
giant, but every room is so compartmentalized and small. It's just, you can't get out of the claustrophobia factor.
Right. And it's not like they're all like shut down. So you've just got these dark corridors and rooms and stuff.
Creepy.
And it's just,
I don't really believe in ghosts, but at the same time, I sort of really hope that it is true and that I can someday haunt people.
I would love it. Why wait till you're dead? Just start dead.
That's true.
I don't believe in ghosts, but I really love creepy places.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not sure that there's like an actual ghost, like the soul of somebody for sure, but I think there could be, I don't know, some kind of
weird energy.
Yeah, weird energies or, I don't know. I believe more in the sci-fi kind of thing where there's a ripple in time where there's alternate things happening or something like that, where someone's stuck between something. But I don't know why I believe that. But, yeah.
Have y'all been to a place? Where's the place that you have been that creeped you out? Like, really, you were scared?
Six Flags Over Georgia.
Mine was definitely the creepy, spooky caves.
Like that. I want to.
Well, last year we talked about when we visited Mansfield Reformatory in Ohio, the Shawshank prison, basically. And that place was pretty spooky. It wasn't ghostly spooky, though. It was just kind of being aware of what went on there and stuff.
That's what I found about Alcatraz is, it's like, just looking at the conditions that people were imprisoned in there.
And honestly, modern new prisons aren't a whole lot.
That's true. That's true.
They look pretty awful.
Your toilet next to your bed. Like that's terrifying to me, right?
Some of us think of that as convenient.
Someone's going to take a dump right next to your head.
No, that I find having to do that, I find terrifying. I don't want to have to poop in front of someone.
Well, don't get stuck on the Skyliner then.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, boy. That's creepy.
There's something too about places like on the places that were like the earliest, like you said, like St. Augustine or like the areas that were the frontier of the colonies. I'm thinking about like Kentucky, Tennessee, West, like places where you're like back in the hollers and there's these old cabins and stuff. There's something about just the age and
cabin in the woods.
It just so much has happened there.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of painful death.
St. Augustine just as a whole and Savannah, Charleston and Savannah, Georgia, both have that sort of overall creepy feel to them. Plus, that was like the height of the slave trade.
Both of those places, I think
there's just so much death and badness that has happened there. You can just feel it.
And they'll do like creepy nighttime ghost walks in cities like that. I'd like to do that.
We were supposed to do one, and then it was just raining too hard to make that fun, so we canceled doing it in Savannah.
Savannah, look, that's where I was going to say I'd like to do like a nighttime.
We did go to the that cemetery. That's the famous cemetery, and it's covered. It's got all the oaks with the live oak with the moss hanging off of them, and that's a creepy.
That's from
place. The Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil has the tomb. The front cover of that book is the
I've been
crying girl angel or whatever.
Yes.
Oof.
I've been in the Père Lachaise cemetery in Paris at night. It's pretty creepy.
I love cemeteries.
Yeah. And most old European cemeteries are just really cool. All of the monuments, and it's especially ones where you can go see the graves of famous people.
There's this big old cemetery in Cleveland. It's the Lakeview Cemetery. There's a lot of Cleveland actually used to be like the New York or the Chicago or New York City of the Midwest at the time.
Cleveland rocks.
There was a lot of like the big famous millionaires and stuff.
Wait, isn't Chicago the Chicago of the Midwest?
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, but
it's the Windy City of the Midwest.
Okay, just go with me, guys. So anyway, so they've got a bunch of the old timey, really creepy tombstones and stuff. And there's this one tomb that's got, they call it the Angel of Death. Well, actually, the name of the statue is the Angel of Death Victorious. And it's like this winged angel sitting on a chair with a giant sword in front of it. But there's something about the way that, I don't know if it's a bronze statue, it looks like. But so when the water runs down its face from the rain, it washes away the green patina. So it looks like it's crying these black tears or something.
That's metal.
It's really metal. It looks like something off of a metal album, but yeah, that's creepy. First one, this is a quick one. It's in Mexico.
Mexico.
It's a small town, right on the tip of the boot of Mexico, I guess, in the Gulf there. It's
the Yucatan.
Sure.
Peninsula.
Yeah, it's called, the town is Pomuc. I don't speak the Spanish, so I don't habla español. So anyway, they have an interesting take on Day of the Dead here. Every year on November 2nd, it's bone cleaning day at the cemetery.
Oh my.
So when a resident of this town dies, they're temporarily buried at the town graveyard. And then after 3 years, the families disinter the bones, clean them, and then store them in a wooden box in the cemetery for permanent display.
All right.
And then each year after that, on the Day of the Dead, the families come back and do a ritual bone cleaning to keep their family members in good shape.
Wow.
I do that when I'm in the shower.
A ritual.
So it helps bring together the families and allow them to kind of deal with the pain of death and confront, remember their deceased relatives and stuff.
I like and then the beautiful Day of the Dead, a la Coco, instead of the cleaning of the bone.
I don't remember the Pop's bones.
I don't remember that scene in the movie.
Oh, we gotta dig up Abuela and clean your bones.
Apparently, it's important because they believe that if you don't keep the bones clean, that the ghosts are going to wander the streets and exact vengeance upon you for not properly caring for them in the afterlife. So, clean them bones.
If after I'm dead, I'm that concerned with my bones, I have wasted my afterlife.
With dirty bones, and now you're gonna get haunted.
What else you got, Dan? On that note,
I've got not one but two opportunities for you to spend the night in the site of famous axe murders.
Oh,
yeah. So
we all got a little too excited about that. Murder.
Who doesn't love a little light axe murdering?
A little light axe murdering.
The first one is in Iowa, and it's the Vallisca Axe Murder House.
Well, with a name like that, then there's obviously going to be an axe murdering. Like, don't live there.
In 1912, the house belonged to the Moore family, which was a married couple, and their 4 young children.
More like less family.
That's a lot of kids.
No wonder there was an axe murder.
On the night of June 9th, the family returned from church services, and sometime between midnight and 5 a.m., the entire family was brutally murdered by someone with an axe. They all had their heads bashed in.
Ooh. That sounds delightful. Now you can
note to self,
out there.
Don't go to church.
There you go. That's the lesson.
The case remains unsolved. The main suspect is a traveling minister who had been at the service that evening and then disappeared around 5 a.m. the next day.
See, don't go to church.
A hobo minister.
Yeah.
Hey, I resent that.
The house was purchased in 1994 and restored to the state it was in 1912 when they were all had their heads bashed in. And now you can tour the home by day, and at night you can spend the night.
Did they put the viscera back?
I hope so. You can spend the night in one of the murder bedrooms. So that's exciting. Yeah. And you can take a walk to the cemetery that's only 15 minutes away and visit all of the. You can figure out who slept in your bedroom. And
if you pay $7, you can go in there and clean their bones too. Put them in a little box.
It's a small upcharge, yeah. Similarly, you can also now. Everybody's familiar with the story of Lizzie Borden, who took an axe and gave her parents 40 whacks. In the spirit of modern American capitalism, you can stay at her house. It's a bed and breakfast now.
Bed and breakfast.
Yeah. It's a Borden themed bed and breakfast. You can stay in the very rooms where her parents took their final breaths.
That was the person that made condensed milk.
I think it was a second uncle twice removed or something.
Do these places provide the axe, or do you have to bring your own? Asking for a friend.
It doesn't.
The axe murder being.
Should I maybe call one. Dave and give him a little warning?
That's an even bigger upcharge.
Oh, right.
You have to return it by 11, though.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that that these places have a very hefty cleaning fee tagged on it.
Yeah. Bring your own plastic
to life.
Bring your own plastic sheeting. I've seen Dexter. I know what you need to do.
Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion. I'm your host, your ghost host. Kindly step all the way in, please, and make room for everyone. There's no turning back now. Our masterclass begins here in this gallery, where I was wondering, guys, what's your favorite ghost in the Haunted Mansion? Do you have a favorite?
No qualification on that one, Dan? Are you dropping
Jeff was complaining. I like my qualification of not one of the main characters.
I like the organist, Victor Geist.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome.
Just that effect is always so cool. I love it.
Yeah, and those specters that come out of the organ pipes are really cool.
Well, I was going to say, my fear of being buried alive. I was going to say the guy who's trying to climb out of his coffin.
Let me out!
Yes. I feel him. I know what he's going through.
Well, mine's not a ghost. Then I'm going to go with the poor caretaker guy and his dog
and his emaciated dog.
Yeah. For some reason, when I was a kid, those figures actually freaked me out more than pretty much any of the ghosts in there. Because it has that weird,
great character face.
Yeah, it's definitely like that cartoonish face that looks real that Disney did. Breaks that dimension. So I'm gonna go with
definitely.
Uncanny Valley.
I feel like he doesn't feed that dog well enough.
No, poor dog.
That dog might very well be a ghost, to be honest, from the looks of his rib cage.
Or he's about to be.
He's just a greyhound. That's all.
Yeah, he's getting close.
I was actually also going to say the organist in the ballroom, but there's another one that I'm kind of surprised that Jeff doesn't identify. Actually, there's two really, really hardy partiers in that ballroom. First is, I think his name is, he's got a weird name. There's a guy that's hanging out on top of the chandelier.
Yeah.
He's his cane to hold on, and he's swinging around with his bottle of booze. But then have you ever noticed that down underneath the dining table, there's a pair of ghostly legs sticking out with a bottle of wine on the floor?
I only recently noticed that. Yes.
Yeah. There's a ghost passed out underneath the table there.
I'm embarrassed at how long it took me to notice the two paintings that turn and shoot each other.
Guys. Oh, yeah.
Because you're looking down.
Just looking down at the table and never looked up there and noticed those guys. One of my other favorites is the, I had seen this one, but didn't notice it till we did a guided tour that included going through there with a narrator talking about some of the things. But right at the end, the opera singing Viking hat wearing lady, it ain't over till the fat lady sings. So it's right there at the end of it. The fat lady sings. And I love that. Yeah, she's cool looking too.
And I don't think that then they shouldn't do a doom buggy bed. They should just do a coffin. Like, I want to sleep in a coffin.
That's just weird.
Just like you do.
I really do. I've always wanted to sleep in a coffin.
I do not want to sleep in a coffin. No, thank you.
I want to sleep in a coffin, but only if it's a queen-sized coffin.
Sealy Posturpedic coffin. Well, speaking of things that never came to be, one of my favorite sort of early designs for Haunted Mansion that never actually got made was the Museum of the Weird.
Yes.
So this was originally dreamed up by Raleigh Crump, who is one of my favorite Imagineers, one of my favorite weird names. And
the man's amazing.
Also one of the last few Imagineers living that worked with Walt. So yeah, when they were in the many years that they worked on Haunted Mansion, it seemed like it took them a pretty long time to get it going. Raleigh Crump pitched an idea for when it was still going to be a walkthrough that's called the Museum of the Weird. And it was basically he was really one of the only Imagineers pitching ideas that focused on practical effects and was really into like the Pepper's Ghost effect and things like that. And was really sort of focusing on ways to freak people out in person instead of just the overall theming. There are still drawings of the stuff that he pitched. And it was basically like weird creatures and like living objects, more focused not on the sort of classic haunted stuff, but more on like there was like a candle man, a guy that was like made out of candle wax, and like
worst superhero ever.
Oh yeah, like I'm gonna melt on you slowly. Hold still.
Is that like our t-shirt mascot?
I guess.
My favorite one that he designed is labeled as Weird Mistress of Evil, and it looks like a cross between like Elvira and like a Dungeons and Dragons character and my 12th grade ex-girlfriend who was really into Bauhaus, and she's got like weird like spider boob bra on and stuff. And basically, so he wanted to just have this Museum of the Weird where there were all these weird characters and things to look at. So he pitched it to Walt, and everybody else thought it was stupid, but apparently it kept Walt up that night and he couldn't sleep. So he asked him to like keep developing it. And then they like tried to do it as an exit sort of gift shop type thing for the ride. And it basically just fell apart in the end. But they did use a lot of the stuff that he had designed, like the seance room basically was his original design. They modified it, but where Leota was basically his seance room idea. And his idea, he had a chair that had a face on it that was going to talk and sort of host the seance instead of Leota. And the chair is actually still in the ride. There is a chair with a face on it.
Is that the Donald Duck chair?
Yeah, the Donald Duck chair.
You know, there's a lot of stuff. And apparently, like, the wallpaper that is so iconic now was based on his drawings. He didn't do it, but they told him that they were going to use his design. Yeah, the sketches are really great. I'm a big fan of his artwork. It's really super creepy.
That man.
And then the funny thing that I love about it is that he did the original designs for the stretching room too. And he drew them up and designed them and was really happy to turn them in, and was promptly told by Mark Davis that he was going to redo them because they were no good.
Oh,
yeah, and totally redid them. But the characters and the concept of the stretching room, how it was going to look, was done by him. So
they stayed the same. He just did different artwork.
Yeah, he just did it more in his style, and because you look at those and you can tell that's Mark Davis artwork. So.
Yeah, I'm glad. I love those.
I do too, and I like Mark Davis's artwork as much as I love Raleigh Crump's sort of design styles that he came up with. It obviously, that stuff, most of it wouldn't fit in the way that the Haunted Mansion is now. It's more an homage to classic horror. So.
So the first version would have been led by a maid or a butler who would have taken you through and told you the legend of Captain Gore.
Ooh, Captain Gore.
And,
wow.
Yeah, he was going to be a murderous sea captain who murdered his bride after he caught her cheating with
murderous
for kids.
Sea captain. Wow.
For the kids, right? Which, yeah. Exactly. But then they had these plans for they go in different rooms. I hear she was a fine girl.
But her life, her love, and her lady is the sea.
And
he has like a grave in the queue at Magic Kingdom. Right?
Yeah, he inspired like
is it
that
the same one
guy.
Was a different how many sea captains are there in the Haunted Mansion lore? Come on.
How many murdering sea captains can there be?
Turns out that house is full of sea
captains. Oh, I'm sorry. I just looked it up. That's actually the grave of the Gorton's fisherman. Sorry about that.
Yes. He knows what you did last time.
That's why it smells like fish sticks. So, yeah, the Haunted Mansion is one of my earliest memories, just period, of anything that stuck out in my head. And it was the moment when, as a kid, I was just like, I don't know what this is. It scares the crap out of me, but I want more of it, and I love it, and I need to seek out everything. And so from then, it set me off on Universal Monsters, classic horror. Still to this day, like I consume old classic horror movies daily. It's part of who I am. And so the Haunted Mansion to me is like sort of the embodiment of like the combination of my two favorite things, which is Disney
all that
and
stuff.
Really creepy stuff.
Can we get a picture of you wearing your Haunted Mansion leggings and Crocs together? That'd be great.
I don't have any, but I certainly would take some.
This exists.
I would certainly take
exist.
them.
No, I mean, they exist in Jess's world.
We can make sure that
Jeff's
happens.
I'll
be headed back down to Walt Disney World in a couple of weeks. I'll bring some back for you.
We'll record an episode where we do a commentary track for the horrible Haunted Mansion movie, and I'll dress head to toe Haunted Mansion for that.
Oh yes. That's what she said.
I'll hire you to come do it.
And I know it's against everything, and people have tried it, and they always get caught. But I'm tasking you guys and everybody that knows and loves me.
Yeah.
When I die, at least, I mean, like a minuscule amount of my ashes, just like a tiny. Put them in there. I don't care. I know they vacuum. I know they clean it up. Whatever. I know that. But just the act of doing it is the only thing I care about after I die. So
you got it.
Okay. Thanks.
You know what? I'll have you in my hand, and I'll
cough me at Leota, and my soul will be at peace.
We'll pencil you in for Disneyland next.
Maybe by the time it time it opens, you'll be dead.
I didn't know I had to fit a time frame here.
Yeah, that's when I'm available.
I was just trying to think of a time when all the rest of us were going to be able to.
That's true, and we would be together.
That's the next time. Yeah.
Like crap, I got to get on this.
What if we just cut off your toe and burn that? And then you could help us prep it.
That's so creepy that I would totally be up for that.
Right?
I have a permanently broken toe, so that would be fine.
Hey, so you're not even using it?
Yeah, no, it's my pinky toe. I've stubbed it so many times you can just bend it backwards and stuff.
Ew, bro.
Take that one. Just take that one.
Well, actually, we heard of a way you can remove someone's toes. We saw photos of it once on a trip to Vegas. We'll tell you about it someday.
That sounds like another show idea.
It is. That's one of those creepy travel stories shows. We'll get to it someday.
We'll put that on the dark
yes.
travel episode. Well,
before this takes any more of a turn, thanks for hanging out with us again this week. If you're excited to hop in a Doom Buggy and explore the boundless realm of the supernatural in the Haunted Mansion, or explore anywhere else around the world, Key to the World Travel has a 3-story Victorian-era brick mansion with 4 columns at the entrance and wrought iron decorative railings around the balconies, plus a private cemetery plot in the backyard, and including interior rooms such as an octagonal portrait gallery with a cupola ceiling, an overgrown observatory, a parlor furnished with seance equipment, a ballroom set for a ghostly birthday party, an attic haunted by a murderous bride, and a private family crypt full of expert travel planners ready to make your vacation dreams a reality. Head to www.keytotheworldtravel.com to get started with a no-obligation quote.
One take Dan, they call him.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dan. I wasn't recording. Can you do that again?
Louder for the folks
I'll
in
just
the
use the crappy Zoom copy. Don't forget to catch up with our friend, the Theme Park Professor, for all the latest theme park news and tips at www.themeparkprofessor.com. Word of mouth is still the best way to help us grow our show. If you have a friend or two who you think would appreciate our special brand of globe-trotting jackassery, tell them what makes our show so great and send them our way. You can find links to subscribe to the show on your favorite apps at www.goldkeyadventures.com. We can't wait to hang out with you again next week, and we'll see you real soon.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Don't haunt flow. No, actually, haunt flows. If you die soon, haunt flows.
To ask a question or share your travel story, you can reach us by smoke signal, carrier pigeon, or send an email to goldkeyadventurers@gmail.com. And make sure you follow the Gold Key Adventure Society on Facebook and Instagram. A huge thanks to our sponsor, Key to the World Travel. For all your travel planning needs, visit www.keytotheworldtravel.com for a free quote and help planning the trip of a lifetime. Tell them the Gold Key Adventurers sent you. That's www.keytotheworldtravel.com. Key to the World Travel, your key to a magical vacation. Thanks to Outer Vibe for the use of their song Hoka Hey for the intro and outro of our show. Find them on Facebook at The Outer Vibe or check out www.outervibe.com for tour dates, music, merch, and more. We'll see you next week for another meeting of the Gold Key Adventure Society. And until then, remember, life is short and the world is wide. So go have an adventure.
My internet is unstable. I'm unstable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then, it's a perfect fit.
Tell me something I don't. All right.